All right, welcome everybody to the Formula A podcast. This is our Miami GP review. Before we get into our regular scheduled programming, do want to introduce a very special guest we have, our friend and fellow racer at a much higher level, Samantha Tan. Thank you very, very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you guys for having me.
Excellent. And we understand you were sitting in the first corner at Miami, so we just wanted to get your take on how the race was from your perspective and some of those moves you saw from, well, mainly Verstappen, but obviously some contact between Schumacher and Vettel too. You had a front row seat for some stuff, so you want to tell us what it was about?
For sure. I'm going to preface by saying I had the opportunity to actually interview Max and Checo on the Saturday right after qualifying. So, normally I'm a diehard Ferrari fan. That's who I came to support. But then after interviewing them and getting to know them a little bit, I ended up, secretly rooting for Max and Checo on Sunday. But yeah, I was sitting in turn one. It was blistering hot and humid. I did not come prepared. But, I got to see all of the action. Watch the start. Obviously, Max took the lead, I think, pretty early on in the race. Did he?
Yeah, I think it was lap 9 or lap. Yeah, it was lap 9.
Yeah. Okay. So pretty early on in the race, and then he kind of held or kept gaining time on who was in second, Leclerc, right? And then trying to deal with the freaking heat out there, but managed to see Vettel get absolutely bodied by Mick Schumacher, which I'm sure was pretty frustrating. I don't remember who ended up getting the penalty for that. Also, I think I saw Alonso's little incident as well. But yeah, again, a lot of action. Felt super bad for Norris at the end there. But again, it was 33, 34 degrees Celsius with 55% humidity or something. So I can't imagine how the drivers felt. I remember talking to Checo the night before, and he was literally telling me how they were probably going to lose 2 to 3 kilograms of water. And I was like, damn. Stay hydrated, friends.
So, from a driver's perspective on that, have you ever raced in temperatures where you're by the end of the race or by the end of your stint? Because I think you do 24-hour endurance racing too. So, have you ever been in a position where, by the end of the race or the end of the stint, you're just completely exhausted and completely dead?
Well, I train almost 5 times a week to prepare for these races. Luckily, a majority of the races I've been in over the past year, internationally wise, haven't been excruciatingly hot. Mostly pretty nice temperature, and there is AC in the car, luckily. But there was one race that stood out to me last year. It was a 24-hour Barcelona. Our AC wasn't quite working. I inted myself and didn't drink enough water before my stint. I actually did get heat exhaustion in my first stint. I think I only ran an hour and a half, but they literally had to pull me out because I was like, yeah, guys, I'm feeling pretty dizzy. But again, most of the time you can just chug a lot of water and I feel fine. But there are times when ambient temperature is pretty high. I think it got up to 130 degrees Fahrenheit in the cockpit itself during Barcelona. So it was pretty brutal, I will say.
Jeez.
Yeah,
well,
that's brutal.
Yeah.
To the heat a little bit. Aside from the heat, how was the actual Miami track itself? Did you enjoy it? It's new to the calendar, and it seemed like a pretty good vibe there. What did you think?
Yeah, it was packed. And as you know, it was really, really hard to get tickets leading into the race there. I'm pretty sure grandstand tickets were selling for something like $5,000 a pop. I know Paddock Club passes were 15 grand. But overall, they brought in a lot of celebrities, and I think there was a lot of hype around the event. I think it was pretty successful. I will say it was still kind of a bit unorganized, as it always is when they go to a new track. But overall, it was pretty cool to be able to witness the first ever Miami GP, to witness Max win after chatting with him on Saturday.
So how was that
That's
interview?
so
Like,
cool.
what were they like? Like, are they completely different, like off the cameras, or like what the media kind of portrays them? Like, what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, let's start. I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you guys think, like, first and foremost, like, of how, like, their personalities are? Because I'm pretty sure I asked Kyle, like, before going into the interview, like, how Max and Checo were.
I'll let
Ooh,
Ryan start.
that's a good one.
I'm gonna
Okay.
take a guess at this. I would assume Max is polite, but he's quick. He wants to get it over and done with, and when time's up, he wants to go. And I could see Perez being the more friendly one that's willing to talk a little bit longer. That's obviously a pure guess.
That's honestly kind of the same vibe that I get off of Max. Like, I feel like he's just constantly flooded with like people wanting to ask him stuff, and like I'm sure he's like a nice, like a genuinely nice guy to like the people in his circle. I just feel like he's got like so many people trying to ask him questions, and probably like the same questions over and over, that he just kind of like just wants to get it done over with, and like just kind of be alone a little bit. And then Checo is very like very social, very excited, like just a happy camper overall.
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of had the same idea walking into this interview, and like, it was crazy when they first arrived. Like, the event was at Jungle Plaza, which is like an outdoor mall, and like all of these fans that couldn't get into the event were like on the balconies and stuff, like literally yelling at Max and Checo, trying to get their attention, and it was like crazy kind of hype around them. But it was actually the opposite in terms of personalities. Max was so nice. He was so polite. He actually wanted to talk more. He made the interview so easy for me. But I prefaced to them as well. I was like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. You're probably going to get asked the exact same questions that you've been asked the whole weekend. But no, they were both like extremely polite, very nice. Max was actually like cracking jokes. Perez, I actually thought, was a bit more reserved in terms of his answers. But overall, like, a good vibe from both of them. I actually got to ask them at the end of the interview, like, if they thought that if there was ever going to be a female F1 driver in their lifetime, and I think it caught them off guard a little bit. But overall, yeah, it was an awesome interview.
Yeah, because I know the W series now is starting to take a lot more popularity and is getting a lot more media attention too. I think they like F1 literally just made a post like a couple hours ago about Jamie Chadwick, and I think she won in Miami for the W series race or whatever it was. So it's nice to see that there's more publicity, more action on the female side of things as well.
Jamie Chadwick's also extremely dominant. Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. She's won.
She won both races that weekend, actually. So
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, like I'm not super familiar with the W series. Is it basically like just the women driving the F2 cars then? Is that
They're F3 cars,
F3
actually.
cars? Okay.
Yeah. I have a very strong opinion on W Series. Maybe that's a topic for another time, or if you'd like to hear me elaborate, go ahead. But yeah, I think it's 20 cars, and I believe Jamie won both of the races in Miami.
Oh wow.
So I have a question, Sam. For the listeners, I want you to plug it right now. Where can they find that interview with Max and Checo so they can check in and see it?
I myself am still trying to find it. I think CNN was covering it. I know there were a bunch of media outlets covering it, but as soon as I find that information, I will be posting it on my socials, and I will send it to you guys as well.
sweet.
Awesome. So we'll repost it as well. So
Yeah, it was
for everyone
Tag
listening.
Heuer, Tag Heuer, Hoyer, however you
Tag
pronounce that.
Hoyer, and
Hoyer.
funnily enough, I actually didn't know how to pronounce it until like literally like a few days ago. I was like, okay, I have to get this down.
Okay, so I don't feel as bad then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think, do we guys have any more questions for Sam before we let her go? I know she's on a very busy schedule, obviously. So
Yeah, I can't really
just wanted
think
to say-
oh yeah. No, go ahead, Ryan.
I just wanted to say congrats on raising the cup in Mugello. for all of Canada. That was super cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Gotta rep Canada out here, boys.
Absolutely. And on that note, if you guys are been living under a rock for the last little while and you don't know who Sam is, she races for BMW in the Global 24 Hours Series, GT World Challenge America. She's in Ferrari Challenge this year too. She does it all. So be sure to check her out on Instagram, Samantha Tan, and follow her racing. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us today, Sam.
Yeah,
thank you guys again for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming out and being a part of this.
Perfect. All right, guys. I guess it's back into regularly scheduled programming for Formula A.
Yeah. It looks like
it's
she's
Miami
still.
GP weekend.
I don't know about your screen. Okay, there we go. It just disappeared on mine. It looked like maybe there was a video delay or something. It looked like she was still talking.
I know. I was trying to keep an eye on that while trying to time the segue and everything, but we got it. It's Formula A. You guys know where we are, and we've got another race to review for you guys, and it's the Miami International Autodrome. So
I think we should do. We should kind of bite the idea here and review the race in 3 words. What do you guys think?
Ooh. In 3 words, I'm gonna let you guys start with that.
Ryan, do you want to start or?
Put me on the spot. Okay. Okay. Sochi, Singapore hybrid.
Yep. Okay, that's pretty good. I was gonna go with overhyped but under-delivered.
Ooh. Okay, this is 4. I'm calling it 3.5. American Car Park Extravaganza.
Yeah. Well, so what I was trying to sneak in there while Sam was talking when she mentioned the Lando thing, I think that Lando thing was a sacrifice that made the race kind of interesting. I think if there was no VSC or no safety car, we would have been in for a boring finish. I mean, Max had 7.5 seconds. Valtteri was clear of the Mercedes. It just looked like everything was kind of spread out. Everything was done. George was gonna have to pit and fall back a little bit. But then the safety car happened and it played into pretty much everyone's hands except Lewis.
And Bottas.
And Mick.
Bottas. That hurt.
Yeah,
that hurt to see a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
No, I guess we should talk about our predictions that we were kind of
really come to fruition.
I mean, I'll give Ryan the point because Ryan didn't call the Sainz win. Ryan said that Sainz would get out of his slump and he got a podium. So I guess me and Kyle will take the L on that one.
That's fair. Yeah, we'll take the L. Sorry, we lost money on bets you guys made based on that.
Quote unquote, I said, Sainz's luck turns around. How that's interpreted is on the listener or whoever. That's your perception. So I'm going to give myself a big old half point on that one.
To be fair, we were very close on the whole the Mick getting his first points, and then we were very, very far off after.
I really thought I was going to get a grand slam because Max did close the gap to Charles in points. Sainz did almost have a very good turnaround weekend, and Mick almost got points. I was a couple laps away from hitting everything.
And I mean, to be fair, Max has really closed the gap. I think Leclerc was 2 races clear of Max at one point, and then now they're less than a race apart. It's 17 points, I think?
19
points. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, it wasn't really an exciting race, and a lot of the drivers were complaining about the Tech Pro barriers, or the lack thereof of Tech Pro barriers at, I think it's turn 14, where Ocon and Sainz both had a big slam. Dude, that 51G impact. That's insane.
That's what Max experienced last year at Silverstone,
Yeah.
and it was from a much faster accident. So, bit of explaining to do on the FIA's part there.
And the
Why
track
it
was
wasn't-
literally falling apart over the weekend. Like they
Yeah.
kept having to patch it up and
I don't think they have any explaining to do. It's clear what the FIA was up to. They had to go after jewelry and underwear. Like, they had their priorities set real straight.
So what was better, Lewis showing up to his presser with like 8 necklaces and 4 watches or however many it was, or Seb wearing his underwear over his?
You know what? I gotta give credit to Lewis. A lot of people give him smack, but I don't know if you guys saw the interview where they're like, "Oh, Lewis, like you've got so much jewelry on. Like, what time is it?" And he's like, "Oh, like which one? You know, I got in case I get calls from different time zones. That had me rolling. You know, like it just felt like vintage Lewis. You know, it was nice to see him cracking jokes.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, he's been in the dumps a little bit lately, so I know it's sort of touch and go with if you like Lewis or you don't like Lewis, but I think a guy that was just such a legend in the sport, you know, it's nice to see him kind of getting his personality back a little bit. Maybe, you know, if you're a Red Bull or Ferrari fan, you might not think so, but
Well, it's funny you bring up
I
Red
mean-
Bull and Ferrari fans because I guess you guys can't really see, but we're on a Discord call right now, and we've got a resident Red Bull fan wearing a Ferrari shirt. So I think Ryan's got some explaining to
Hey.
do here.
Hey. I have a Red Bull banner in my hand, too. So, you know what? Let me say something about Lewis. Every great always has people wanting them to come back down. It's natural. Tom Brady, everyone hated the Patriots and Tom Brady in NFL. Everybody hated Wayne Gretzky in hockey. The way I look at it is, yes, I want Max to win last year, and I wouldn't say I enjoy seeing Lewis in this position. I really don't. I'd like to see him fighting at the top again, but not winning everything, but still fighting. My point is, though, you have to appreciate greatness and you have to stoke it up. The fact that we get to be F1 fans for a while he is in his most dominant form. Maybe not this year, but definitely last year, him and Max pushed each other to levels that I don't think anybody would have saw coming. So it was impressive.
Yeah.
100%, totally agree.
Yeah, I don't know. Last season was like, we sound like a broken record saying it. Like, I think as controversial as it was probably the best championship fight that we have seen in a while.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's exciting. Other exciting ones that come to mind, like of recent times, I guess Hamilton and Rosberg. I mean, that was fun, but
Yeah.
it's kind of nice when it's guys from 2 different teams. I think it's a little better.
Yeah, it's
Has a
nice because
certain-
it still leaves the Constructors' Championship up in the air. Like, you look at right now, I think Ferrari and Red Bull, they're not that far apart. I think it's just a handful of points splitting the two.
Oh yeah, I think it's. Oh, I don't remember the exact total. I should look that up right now. But it's. I didn't realize just how close it is between them. I mean, even when you take into consideration like 2 races where Red Bull's #1 driver didn't finish due to mechanical issues, it's.
But then I guess
pretty
the
damn
same thing can
impressive.
be said about Sainz, right? Like, there's also 2 DNFs to his name.
That's true. This is true. Yeah, and unfortunately for him, next race has gravel traps, I believe, at Spain. I think they do. So.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other topic.
And then
Speaking
after
of-
that, we go to the cursed Monaco. So who knows? Maybe Max will take the lead of the championship there for you, Ryan.
Ooh.
I don't want to jinx it.
Okay, well, Ryan, as a Red Bull fan, do you think Max is in a good position right now? Obviously, you know, second in the championship, but he's making up so much ground so quickly. Do you think he's got the upper hand on Charles and Ferrari right now?
I think coming off your first world title, coming into an absolutely brand new era, and winning every race you enter in or finish in, Yeah, he's looking good. I would have to think his confidence is high, and that Red Bull is looking super quick. And I don't even want to say this out loud. I'm knocking on wood. It seems like they have ironed out their reliability issues.
But you also have to look at his consistency too. Like every race that he's finished recently, I think aside like maybe the last like 40 to 50 races, aside from Turkey 2020, he's finished on the podium. Like I'll leave out Hungary from last year because they were playing bowling with Max's car. Every other race, like I think going back to like early 2020 or like 2019, he's been on the podium, which is ludicrous. Just ludicrous. The results this guy's pushing out.
Oh, he's another breed. He's another breed. His talent and his like, raw speed. You can't argue it. Doesn't matter if you're a Max fan or not a Max fan. You can't dispute that. So
Yeah, because I think
even when you saw
F1
that
posted
huge,
a graphic or something on their story where it was like it's either 56 or 65 podiums, and he's 24. He's 24. He's my
yeah.
age. What have I done? I've got 0 podiums in F1.
Well, you're on level pegging with Hulkenberg then.
There we go. I'm just as good as
Yeah.
Latifi.
There we go. There we go. See, look at the positives.
But I mean, hey,
Um,
McLaren, if you guys need a driver, I've got the suit right there. So I guess
Oh,
the listeners can't really see the suit in the background, but
more than a driver, they need like a lucky charm or a golden horseshoe after this
Yeah.
weekend. Because, oh boy, that was tough.
I guess we should
collision
talk
between
about the cringe part of the Miami GP. What did you guys think of the post-race interviews?
Oh, I mean,
It was so bad. It was so bad.
it's
Like,
all a blur.
are you ready to go
It's all a
boxing,
blur.
Max? Or what was it? He asked Charles Chuck Leclerc. He goes, "How's the chassis? How's the tires?" Like, these guys don't know. Why are you asking about the
I don't know.
chassis of the car? Like, that blew my mind. Is the chassis still
like-
good? Yeah. How's the tires? They're probably gone.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
you might
like I
get 2,
said-
3 races out of them. I don't know, man. I just work here.
like I said, everything was a blur after I saw the motorcycle parade bring them up to the podium, and then they gave them Pirelli football helmets. I was like,
Oh my god.
yeah, I think I'm gonna check myself out here.
Like, why did they like? You could tell, like, when you were watching the videos, you could tell Max, Charles. They didn't really show signs much, but dude, they were like, they needed water, they needed everything, and they're like, yeah, Max, get on this, like, and he's just trying to like sneak a sip in of his drink, and like the drivers looked beat, absolutely beat.
Oh yeah, it was smoldering hot. Like Samantha said too, right? Like I don't even know how much weight these guys were probably losing through that whole race. And then on top of that, they're getting asked the most ridiculous questions. And here, put this football helmet on. It's not like you're sweating enough already. I'm sure this will
Yeah.
help you feel better. Yeah, it was the American. It was the American
It was
Grand
too
Prix.
weird. I get it. They were trying to hype it up, and you know what? At this rate, any publicity is good publicity. Maybe they purposely made it terrible so that people are still talking about the Miami GP, and they're like, oh well, if it was this bad in 2022, we gotta go see it in 2023, and it just keeps building the hype. So it could just be genius marketing. Although the fans completely hate it, it brings in new people to the sport.
Yeah. Any publicity is good publicity, right? So.
I don't know, guy. I don't know what you guys expected from Florida. Just a reminder, it is in the state of Florida. So,
Yeah.
I have 2 nicknames. I wonder what you guys think. Which one's better, Miami or Miami meme? Because the whole thing was just one rolling meme.
I think Miami is the best out of the two.
Miami, definitely.
It was but it was like so much attention behind the race. Like the grid walk was absolutely hilarious. Oh, did you guys
dude,
watch the grid walk or no?
Whatever they paid Martin Brundle for that was not enough.
Yeah.
It was poetry in motion.
Did you guys see the interview? I think it was Pharrell, whoever the guy with the weird sunglasses with the diamonds. Like, oh, it was the funniest interview. Like the whole interview is like,
I'm here with my man.
Yeah, I'm here with my brother Richard Mille. My brother Lewis Hamilton's gonna win. Yeah, they all my brothers. Yeah, I'm here with Richard Mille. He's my brother. Like, all right, man. Like, we heard you the first, 8 times. We get it. You're Richard Mille's guest. Like, anything else? Like he just wouldn't contribute to the interview other than everyone's my brother.
Oh, it's all that brand recognition, man.
Yeah.
I hear my brothers. There was some other guy.
Was it that guy with the see-through shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Oh my God! There's so many characters, man. So many characters.
I don't even know who that guy was, but he was like so full of it, and Martin was just like, "Oh, you seem like an interesting character. Who are you?"
He's like, "I don't know who you are, but."
Social media sensation. Oh, he's modest too.
Yeah.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Oh.
Just trying to think. So yeah, from grid walks to the end, the ceremonies, it was ridiculous from start to finish. And I'm kind of glad it was, because
yeah, you know what? I'll still watch the race next year. It's not a race that I'm excited for. I think the layout could be improved. Everything, there's a lot wrong with it. But you know what? It's another race in the States. What I find weird about that, though, is they wanted to make more races stateside to let more fans go and experience F1, but your general admission tickets are $2,000. Who's experiencing an F1 race? Like, you can't. Who has $2,000 sitting around to sit in a grandstand and then, you want to buy merch, you want to do this, that's an expensive weekend.
It's not good for average Joe.
Yeah.
Working class American, that's for sure. Yeah, because there were some good battles throughout the field. I mean, Of course, we didn't see very much of them because they were very focused on the front. But yeah, I think overall the layout could maybe be improved. I doubt they will do anything to it. I think they'll just leave it as it is, especially working with such a limited space.
I just think they should make some parts of the track wider to give us overtaking opportunities. Right? Because, listen, as much as it's nice seeing overtakes, it's just that they were pretty much all DRS overtakes. Like, don't get me wrong, Max's overtake on Carlos at the start was ballsy. That was very, very ballsy. Like, there was so much trust between the two of them. They gave each other the right amount of space, and it made for a really cool move. But other than that, everything was DRS. Like, I think, honestly, I think I said it in the interview or just before we started recording. I think if Checo made the move on the longer straight, like if he was just a little more patient, he would have had a comfortable third place.
Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%.
I agree.
Yeah, Carlos did some great defending there, actually. Seemed like he got a bit of his confidence back.
Yeah, it's nice, man. You want to see him do well. Like, you never want to see a driver do poorly, but Carlos is just such a nice character. I mean, I'm still a big Carlos fan because he's a McLaren boy at the end of the day, and it's just, it's nice to see him getting back into it.
Well, he's a Red Bull boy.
I know. I knew you were gonna say that as soon as I brought it up, but listen. I'm a McLaren fan. I let him be a McLaren one. Let him be a McLaren guy just for the sake of my little rant there.
Yeah. I'm gonna say another thing with the track too. It's just actually I just got reminded here with Samantha just sent a message saying I forgot to mention it. All the drivers were saying the track surface was really slippery.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was made of limestone, and apparently it's not common to be mixing it into the track surface. But I don't know who it was. I forget where I read it or overheard it, but they mixed it in. They tested it and it's grippy right away. And you don't need rubber in the track, which is not the case. And every driver, obviously, from what we heard, did not like it. So yeah, just hopefully they never do that again. Never use that again.
Yeah, well, I think it was WTF1 actually put out a video yesterday or today. They mentioned that in the video that like it was mixed, lime rock or limestone was mixed in, and like the track was literally falling apart like during FP1, FP2. That's why they kept having to do patchwork, and like the FIA was like, or the Miami circuit was like sketchy about how they worded it, just to be like, oh, just some minor track surface repairs or track resurfacing, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. It was a bit embarrassing from the FIA last weekend, to be honest. Between the nitpicking on jewelry and underwear out of the blue, and then not putting up tech barrier after Sainz crashed, and then Ocon crashed, and everyone requested it, and nothing got done about it. But they have their underwear in a knot about jewelry. And then, there's track surfaces falling apart. Carlos smashed his head off one of the escape holes in the when they jumped through the wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. To me, it just didn't. They looked super, like Samantha said, super unorganized, and it really looks like they just had their eyes set on the wrong priorities.
Yeah, I think for them, they were trying to focus on making it more of a spectacle. Like there was that one corner where they called it like the error or like the mistake maker or whatever. I'm like, this sounds like you're trying to make a thing for like Ninja Warrior or something. Like, you don't call the entry into a corner the mistake maker. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, these guys are putting their lives on the line driving here, and you're trying to make it more entertaining by throwing like a quick elevation change that could potentially make a mistake happen. Like, I don't know, that's too much for me.
Yeah, it's silly. It was just so unnecessarily tight and narrow through there too. I saw Lewis that it felt like he was driving a go-kart through a car parking lot. Like, it was like, you shouldn't have to artificially generate action or mistakes just to appease the masses. That stuff should come naturally.
Yeah, leave the crashing to NASCAR and let F1 have the on-track battles.
Thank you.
Little spicy, Marcus. I love it.
Thank you. Well, it's Formula A. It's not NASCAR, eh? So.
Yeah, it's Formula A, not NASCAR, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Bod.
You know what? I think they should get the guy from Monster Jam to design more courses, because he really did well this weekend.
Oh God. Actually, sorry. One thing I did want to bring up. There was some paddock rumors that I read about this week or today. Nick DeVries kind of shut out all the rumors of him taking Latifi's seat mid-season.
Oh, I didn't even know that was rumor. Okay.
I didn't know it was a rumor either, and then I read an article where, what's it called? Where they're like, "Yep, he's not. It's not happening." Blah blah blah. And actually, one of my, you guys know Aiden. He sends us a fair bit of stuff. So apparently, the Lewis and Max finale received a BAFTA honor, which is like some entertainment award for sporting events. Like, they were up against the World Cup, or not the Euro semifinal, and the Olympics. So it's basically the British Academy of Film and Television Arts Award. They won the sports category.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes. That's not an award I'd be very proud of.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, they did want to cause some entertainment, so.
Yeah, now it's sounding a little fishy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think Michael Massey got his job position changed to the organizer of the BAFTA.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the Golden Globe goes too. For best supporting acting.
I should have that.
Oh my god.
Interesting. If we wanted to talk about paddock rumors, there's one that we touched on last show, and it was brought up by none other than Mario Andretti himself this weekend. He gave a great interview with the guys at Sky and said that his team is still fully ready to go for 2024, and also dropped that they have full support lined up to run Formula 2 and Formula 3, and says they have an engine deal signed up, all their sponsors lined up.
Could that mean
That is
Andretti's
the
teaming up with Porsche or Audi?
What was that?
Could that mean that Andretti Motorsports is potentially going to team up with Porsche or Volkswagen or Audi?
Oh, could be interesting.
Right.
I'm thinking Alpine, actually. I think Alpine are kind of interested in having a second team for that huge academy they have and nowhere to put them.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was going to ask if he mentioned who his engine deal would be with in the interview. I haven't seen the interview yet, but I'm going to be on top of it as soon as this podcast is over. Because as soon as you said Alpine, I was kind of bummed out because I was thinking maybe it'll just be a sticker on the side of the already existing Alpine, but I see what you mean. Andretti Autosport will almost be like the Alpha Tauri to Alpine.
Yeah.
So
That's
they'll
what I
have
was
their...
thinking.
That would be super cool. I'm super on board for that.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, he didn't mention who the engine was with, but he was very confident when they asked him. And he said, yeah, 100%. We've got the engine ready, so...
And you know what? That's a really smart move on Alpine's part, too. Because I know I can confidently say, and you'll both agree with me, we never see Renault, or Alpine's very new, but we never see that brand on this side of the pond. So that could be a really good introduction for really good marketing to get Alpine and Renault into the North American consumers market.
Yeah.
So that would be really well played on both ends.
That's an interesting take. They might, hey, who knows, they might. I mean, they brought their new A110 to Miami for the Grand Prix, so...
Oh yeah, I'm locking in. That's my Andretti prediction. I don't know what timeline you want to put that on, but I'm locking that in. That's why they're doing it. That's the move.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could make sense. I mean, I know our non-Canadian audience won't know this, but like I always see on Kijiji, like every now and then, the same Renault Clio 3 come up for sale, and I think it's like at FAF or something. And every time, like, because I used to be a big rally fan, so every time I see that, like, it just sparks interest. I always think it's the coolest thing, and like it gets posted in the spotter groups from time to time, and it's just nice seeing Renaults on this side of the pond. Like, I've got a ton of family in Lebanon, ton of family in France, so actually my aunt in France has a Renault, a little convertible, so it's nice seeing that stuff on this side of the pond.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm actually on the other side of the pond right now, if you guys are wondering. We mentioned before we're on Discord, so I have been seeing quite a few Renaults around, and it's nice. I hope they do make their way over to the States. I do miss, my goodness, I'm still in Miami mode, to Canada first and foremost. I do hope they make their way over. And it's cool. I think the Andretti prospect is really cool, and I think that's something they should definitely capitalize on. So
Yeah.
In fact, I have a Renault V6 right beside me. I would turn and show you guys, but if you were listening to the last podcast, I apologize for any weird sounds. It was my first time doing it over Skype or Discord, and I learned to do not touch the device that is recording. But yeah, fun fact, in 2003, Nissan and Renault were teamed up. So the Nissan 350Z engine was casted and manufactured by Renault.
Huh. I
interesting.
never
Well,
knew that.
they
Yeah.
still are part of a huge global partnership too, right? So they do share a lot of the same tech. But yeah, it's pretty. That's a pretty interesting take, actually, guys. Good job. Good work.
Yeah,
I like
that's a
it.
nice little theory there. I like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you guys have any more points you want to touch on about Miami? Anybody that stood out to you? Any
I think
favorite
one
celebrity who was
thing
at the race?
I, as Kimmy would
My
say,
favorites.
I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. So I don't care for the celebrity. I don't, I couldn't park my yacht in the marinas. There was fake water, so I just stay in the hotel and have a shit. So, but no, one thing I did wanna bring up was the Mick and Seb second seat chat. Jesus. Um, one thing I did want to touch on was the Seb and Mick contact. I think
Yeah.
that was like the worst possible. Like of all the two drivers to come together, I think everyone's heart sunk a little bit.
It sucked. I mean, you could kind of hear like Vettel was mad, but then he saw who it was, and then he was like, it just turned to disappointment. And I
Yeah,
think he knew that Mick was on his way to his first points too, and Mick was sounded equally as disappointed that he hit Seb too. So
I think
at
that's
least there's
what the
no hard feelings
stewards ended
between
up
them.
saying. Like they didn't want to penalize Mick because losing out on his first points or just losing out on points in general was kind of punishment enough.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm
that's,
sure. I'm sure they've already talked about it over some Lundjaeger bratwurst and sauerkraut. So
yeah.
I'm sure they'll be all right.
Yeah. And then they just know like, oh, we kind of ruined Formula A's prediction too of Mick's first points. So
Yeah.
sure they were disappointed about that.
Yeah,
Listening
yeah.
to the podcast.
But for the record, I know Sam brought that up, and it was considered a racing incident. There was no penalty given out for that incident, which I thought was pretty crazy because if you ask me, that was Mick's fault.
100%.
It
Well,
was
if we're talking
ambition.
about things that were other drivers' faults, what do we think of the Gasly Lando thing? Like, Gasly was slowing down,
Oh,
and that I'm sorry, like that had me not because I'm a big McLaren fan, but that was just absolutely reckless. But like Lando's coming in full tilt, and Gasly's slowing down, then accelerating, slowing down. Like that was, yeah, I don't know what to say.
It was super weird because I wasn't sure if Gasly had a problem with his car or he couldn't steer because he was off into the marbles and the car had no grip, and we know how slippery this track surface was. I wasn't even sure what was going on. It was just bizarre.
he admitted it. Like I'm sorry, I was extremely disappointed in Gasly. So just a little background. I was a tech inspector for Shannonville Motorsport Park last season for drift. So when I heard him say, "Oh, I knew my car was damaged, but I just continued on anyway." Like I drive a car in a sport that's going like 5 times slower, five times less, like or 100 times less the cost. And if I feel something wrong in my back left wheel or right wheel, like I come off the track right away. So it was kind of irresponsible on Gasly to continue running a possibly broken car. Like you're putting yourself and others at risk. And I guess there was an onboard of Gasly trying to steer actually the other way, and the car like didn't want to steer that way. So I don't know. That's just irresponsible if that really was the case.
I'm
So
still
it sucks that Norris.
just a little confused here because you're saying that so your car or your vehicle is 100 times less expensive than an F1 car, and these cars are upwards of $100 million. What kind of 350Z are you driving here, Ryan?
The currency that I was speaking of was in a oh man, what's a really cheap currency? I'm on my toes here. It was in pesos. I was referring to it in pesos.
It's irrelevant. It's anyways. We're just picking a fight here with Ryan, but yeah, I'm trying to think what
I
else.
do not have $1 million drift car for the record.
I think that's pretty well everything we really wanted to touch on, though. I can't really think of anything else.
I just wanted to give a quick message to Alex Albon to never, ever, ever let his natural hair color come back in, because whenever he dyes his hair red, he scores points. So, yeah, Alex, don't change a damn thing. You're doing something good. So shouts out.
So I got a question on that. So 5 races in, there were some people who were like, oh, well, the least he's got to do is beat Latifi. He's wiping the floor with Latifi. Do you guys think he is as good, just a little under, or surpassing what Russell was doing in Williams?
Oh, that's a good one.
I think he has a bit of the Gasly effect, where the Red Bull pressure and how much time and effort goes into supporting Max's car really, really got to him. Same way it got to Gasly. And then he goes back to a smaller team and he's just on fire. Sort of like the weight gets lifted off his shoulders and he can just do his thing. And, and everyone's remembering that Alex is a really, really good driver. And I think he's doing a really good job down there. I do think it's the effect of the Red Bull pressure, though, for sure. And it's just been lifted off of him.
Curtis, what do you think?
I'm gonna agree with Kyle. However, I think it's very hard to compare because we know how underpowered or how much that Williams was under delivering last year. And yeah, George was brilliant at getting his 1 lap pace in last year's Williams was insane. However, we all know that Williams last year had terrible race pace. Like he was lucky to get that thing in the points. Let's be completely honest. This year's Williams does look like it has a little more race pace. But again, that's not to take away from the fact that Albon is a really good driver. Like he's definitely up there, and we keep forgetting. I think he has a few podiums with Red Bull, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So it's not like he's this guy who couldn't hack it at Red Bull. I just think he had some bad luck and a lot of pressure on him.
I think he's not surpassing, he's doing the same as Russell, but Russell is proving that he can take the pressure of a top team. And, you see it in many, many, many good drivers. Like you could even argue Sainz is starting to crack under pressure a little bit being in a top team. And now with a winning car, it happened to Gasly, it happened to Albon. Who else has this occurred to? I'm blanking right now, but this isn't a first occurrence. Like look at Bottas, like he goes down to a midfield team and he's been absolutely shining. The pressure's been lifted off him, and yeah, it seems that not every driver can be in those pressure cooker top teams.
So you bring up that thing about Bottas, but Valtteri wasn't brought to Mercedes to be a world champion. You know what I mean? He was brought to be that supporting driver for Lewis, and I think he did an excellent job at being a supporting driver, the same way that Sergio is now kind of stepping up and being that really good support driver for Max and picking up the pieces when Max can't be there to... Like, if Max isn't winning a race, Sergio's picking up the scraps and, trying to get max points for the team. I think that was what Valtteri's mission was as well, and we saw it even in qualifying. Valtteri was always giving Lewis a tow, helping Lewis outperform Max. Like they are at the end of the day, they are number 2 drivers, and they're there to support the lead drivers. That's what they're hired for. That's what they're getting paid to do, and unfortunately they know, I'm sure they know going into their contracts that they're not going to be fighting for a world championship unless something catastrophic happens to the number 1 driver.
Yeah, I see your point, and that's very valid, but Nico Rosberg and Mark Webber would highly disagree.
Yeah, but that's completely beyond my point. My point was that Valtteri was brought on not to be a world championship fighting driver, but to be a supporting driver for Lewis, the same way Checo was brought in to be a supporting driver for Max.
Well, and that's funny too that you bring up Weber and Rosberg, and now both of those teams have experienced what it's like when you have 2 guys that are going full out and they want to win the championship and they see it explode. And I think they've both done their best to avoid having that happen again.
Mm-hmm.
They've learned.
Yeah, because Bottas and Perez, they know their roles and they do it really well. So
Yeah.
kudos to Christian and Toto for making good wingmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think on that note, I'd say we end it here. I know it's probably like 2 a.m. where Kyle's at.
It's creeping up on 3 here.
Creeping up on 3.
Yeah.
I think we'll cut this one off here. I think we're gonna take a break for a week and then we'll come back for the Spanish GP preview in about a week and a half. And yeah, thank you guys for listening, and hopefully the audio is all good. I think this is the first one that we've done where all 3, I guess 4 of us are in separate locations, so it's all being recorded on the Discord call.
Yeah, so bear with us. And again, just wanted to give a big shout out and thanks to our friend Samantha Tan for joining us. I'd also just want to give a quick shout out at the end here. It is Asian Heritage Month, and just want to point out that Samantha is the first Asian and Canadian woman to win a major international endurance championship. So shouts out to that. Shouts out to Asian Heritage Month. And yeah, it was awesome having her with us, guys.
Yeah. So we did say that we would talk about the 2026 car regs. So we will definitely not forget that next week.
Yes, absolutely promise.
All right. Well, on that note, let's end this thing. All right, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Kyle. Have a great trip, and see you guys in the next podcast.
Thank you very much. See you guys next week.